really, really excited to get involved with literary analysis with you this week. You did a great job with To Kill a Mockingbird. I know that in our own way we were able to work through it together, but still, you really ultimately ended up reading that on your own and then demonstrating your knowledge or understanding through so many of you participating in the Google Meets, many of you finding different ways to demonstrate your understanding. And so I really, really enjoyed that process. And while I wish that we could have read, especially those last few chapters together, just because I think that that's kind of a cool thing that we get to do, I still think you did a wonderful job. So thanks for all that hard work. What I love about literary analysis is you really get to choose what is most impactful to you and what you're going to remember most about To Kill a Mockingbird. And we'll talk a little bit about how to make that process work for you. But, I think a lot of times we feel like it's a bunch of, stuff that like is teacher generated. We're going to really try and put that on you this year to figure out what is really valuable about this book. What is it that caught your attention the most? And how do we turn that into a literary analysis? Analysis meaning something where we've got one big thing and then we're kind of breaking it into smaller parts. So we'll talk through that process a little bit and I'll explain how this week's work helps us get set up to write that literary analysis. Now, before we click through everything, I think this is a great example of quality over quantity. You've been doing a lot of reading, you've been hopping on Google Meets, you've been filling out questions, you've been doing a lot of stuff, and it's all been valuable. This week, I think at first glance, looks like, oh my gosh, we've got so much less that we need to do. And while I think that that's true in terms of the number of things you need to get through, I would, I guess, just kind of bring you back to that quality over quantity, because this week is so important. We want to make sure we are on a pathway that is one with solid footing for you to write with. So we want to make sure that you have a question, that you have a character, that you have kind of a pathway that you want to go down that is interesting to you, but that we can also turn into a literary analysis in which you're thinking about large chunks of the book. So unfortunately, as much as you might love Little Chuck Little from, Scouts, one of her first days of school, or her first day of school, where little Chuck turns on Burris Ewell and says, "I'll kill you as soon as I look at you." Unfortunately, little Chuck isn't a big enough part of the book, but I think that we're going to be able to find characters or themes or ideas or arguments that Harper Lee made that we can really explore that are interesting to you as individuals. So that's going to be our goal for this week. Let me show you how we're going to do that. All right, so of course the stream always looks a little bit messy, so let's go into our classwork. You've got 3 things you need to worry about for this week, and they go in order starting from top to bottom, and that's the order I actually need you to go in for this week. So thing number 1 is this literary analysis generator. So you've all been made a copy for this, and when you click on it, there are a total of 6 questions here. I want you to answer as many of these as you can, and they're personal questions. They're questions, you'll notice, like, what caught your attention the most? This is very centered on you. What's catching your attention? And so I want you to answer as many of these as you can. The more of these that you answer and the more in depth that you answer these, the more I'm going to be able to help you when we sit down to figure out what's the best pathway for you to write on. So that's really the goal of this. 6 questions centered on your reading experience, what it is that you really found yourself thinking about the most, pondering the most, characters that caught your attention. I like number 5, a hypothetical question of you coming back senior year and seeing me put up the back wall and saying, oh yeah, we're going to start Mockingbird. What do you think it is that you're going to be remembering about this book, your senior year and beyond? All of these questions are to help me understand your understanding, but also your interest level. So the more that you can put on this sheet, the better off we're going to be for figuring out the best pathway for you to go down for your own literary analysis. So once you have filled this out and submitted it, then I'm going to ask you, hop back to our classwork here really quickly. Once you've done this, to head over to the extended office hours. Normally I hold office hours Tuesday mornings and Friday mornings. I've created Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, both morning and evening, plus still our regular Friday, because I want to have a quick conversation with each of you. 5-10 minutes at most in which we make a decision about about the essay that you want to write based on kind of what you gave me in those first 6 questions. I'm going to make sure I review that. I'm going to take a really careful look, and then we'll kind of go ahead and have a conversation about where we want to go from here. If you don't have video capabilities to do that conference, we can still do it just in terms of a phone call through Google Meet. If neither of those are available to you, then we'll figure out something else. But sign up for an office hour, and all we're going to do is discuss that literary analysis generator, which we had just talked about. Once you have completed the literary analysis generator and we've had a discussion via office hours, then final question for you, which, as we view, looks a little bit messy, but it's really kind of a 2-parter. Part 1, what's your guiding question going to be? We're going to talk a lot about that at your conference. An example would be kind of putting the author into it of why did Harper Lee create Aunt Alexandra, right? Like if that was kind of a character you were like, I found her to be interesting. Cool, we could write an entire essay on why it is that Harper Lee created that character. She didn't have to be there. She didn't really impact the plot. So why would Harper Lee create this character? We could write an entire thing on Harper Lee's choice to create Aunt Alexandra or Dill or any of these other characters that we want to dive into. Or it could be on a theme, could be on, we've got so many opportunities, so that's what we're going to talk through. So I just want to know what that question's going to be, and then what's kind of your quick answer to that? So what's your 1 to 3 sentence answer for why Harper Lee created Aunt Alexandra? Your answer to that question is going to be short. It's also going to be kind of your working thesis. It's what we're going to build from. And then, of course, we're going to go find some evidence, and we'll go back to that thesis, and we'll change it based on what the evidence tells us. But having that direction, I think, is going to help us, considering that we can't all be together in the classroom. So 3 things for this week, but those 3 things are so incredibly important. And they go in that order of 1, what caught your attention most about the book, Literary Analysis Generator. Let's talk through that via the office hours. And then once we've got you on that pathway that you're interested in and we feel like you can write a great essay about, then you'll go ahead and you'll get yourself all set up with that question and quick answer in that exit ticket. So I'm really looking forward to seeing what you come up with and what we're able to collaborate on together. And then next week, that will start us into our outlining and early drafting process as we work on a literary analysis. An essay I'm excited to write with you, and an essay that you certainly are going to need in 10th grade and beyond. I'm excited to kind of give you the ground workings for that. I think that'll be a great thing. So I look forward to seeing you at office hours, seeing what you had to write in the literary analysis generator. If you've got questions on that, we can certainly conference before as well. And it'll all kind of culminate with a guiding question and your quick answer, which sets us on our path for outlining and drafting next week. So if you've got any questions, please don't hesitate to reach out. Be proactive this week. Knock out that literary analysis generator sooner rather than later. And that way you can get to those office hours and start getting on that really good pathway. Looking forward to working with you. Have a great week. Bye.